I was thinking, I think I'd really like a theme tune to start off these, but it's probably not going to happen. If you're joining this at some point and you're watching this at some date in the future and it's recorded, it's cold outside right now. It's cold, it's snowy, so if you're watching it live, stay warm. If not, then that's an irrelevant comment, isn't it? Okay, good morning everybody. I've been reading one of my favourite stories, when Jesus walked the earth, and in John chapter 4, Jesus, he takes a sort of a detour. It's not a shortcut, but he takes a detour through Samaritan country, and he ends up stopping at this well to get, to have a rest. It actually says, he's tired, he's hungry, and the disciples go off to get something to eat. One of those reminders of Jesus' humanity. He's tired, he's hungry, and thirsty. Anyway, this lady, she comes, sort of it's about midday time when no one else would sort of like come and get water. So she's coming a little bit like when everybody's having their siesta to get water for the day. And Jesus sort of like he says to her, "Oh, right, can you get me some water too?" And it's like, whoa, what's going on here? Once again, that wonderful thing, context. What's going on here? Jesus has just spoken to that woman in public. Not on. Jesus has just spoken to a Samaritan woman in public. Deal with Samaritans and Jews, right? This time, very important. And I said this a couple of weeks ago, I was speaking. They really hated each other. I mean, couldn't stand the sight of each other. They both thought each other just rotten. So, Jesus, Jewish culture, don't speak to a woman in public. When you're on your own, whoa, bad. So, Jesus speaks to this woman, and she's a Samaritan. And then it turns out she's so we say in old-fashioned terms, she's a lady of disrepute. And Jesus still, he's like, "Oh, can you get some water?" It's like Jesus doesn't even worry about any of those things. And I think that's one of the, straight away, first thing this morning, one of the exciting things to say is, Jesus is like, he breaks through that. He breaks through wherever somebody's at. You've got a woman who, Samaritan, disrepute, in public, all things are on the edge of society, and Jesus is like, it's all right. I still reach out to you no matter where you are. That's the Jesus I know. He reaches out to people wherever they are. And that's exciting on its own. But then he does more than that, because he has this chat with her, and he has this type of almost coded chat. He says like, "I'm living water, and if you drink from me," and it's like, well, what's going on here? And if you drink the water I have, Jesus says, you'll never be thirsty. And this girl sitting at the well's like, "I'll have some of that water." And Jesus is like, "Okay then, go and get your husband." And it's like, what's that about? Because Jesus is like, he says, "I have this living water. I have something to give you, which will mean you'll never be thirsty again." And the woman goes, "I'll have a bit of that." And Jesus' answer is, "Go and get your husband." And then she turns around and says, "Well, I haven't got a husband." And Jesus is like, I know you haven't got a husband. You've had 5 husbands, and the guy you're living with at the moment, he ain't your husband." And she's like, "Whoa, you know my future. You know my past. You know everything that's happened to me." And it's like this weird thing, because actually it started off with this woman saying, "Oh, I'd like that water." And Jesus says, "Go and get your husband," even though he knows all those things about her. Why? Why does the conversation go that way? I'll tell you why I think it goes that way. It's because obviously Jesus, when he's talking about water, he's giving someone, he's talking about being thirsty and that. He's not talking about normal water. He's talking about stuff that fulfills in life. He's talking about the emptiness or a hole that's there. So he says to the woman, she says, I'm thirsty, I need that water. And Jesus says, "Go and get your husband," because he knows actually what's the thing in her life that she's thirsty for most. Love, acceptance, security. How do I know that? Well, she's been trying that for 5 husbands. She wants that love, acceptance and security. And Jesus speaks into that. See, that's the reality of Jesus. It's not just this general Jesus will reach to anyone on the outskirts, reach to anybody where they're at in their life. It's actually more than that. It's this deal of, I know your situation, I know your thirst, I know your need, I know that hole in your life. And actually I think that's one of the things, once again, over this last year that we maybe become more aware of, is the things in our life which we've concentrated on, which we've focused on, which we've thirsted for, which don't fulfill. And yet Jesus comes on and says, I know what will fulfill you. I can offer you a love that doesn't disappear. I offer you justice that's above all justice. I offer you security of knowing that I am always with you and never forsake you. I will fill that hole, is what Jesus is saying. I will offer you purpose where there is no purpose. I will offer you life where there is no life. He continues to speak into where people are thirsty. And that's the big question today, for me, to you, and for me. Where are we thirsty? Where's that hole in the life? Where's that place where actually we go, it just doesn't seem to be working out? And Jesus says, I'll show you something about that. Come on, let's have a talk about that. Let's look into that, because I am the great thirst quencher. That's another one of Jesus' official titles, I think. He's a thirst quencher. He's a purpose maker. He's a way maker. He's a miracle worker. And that's the reality of the decision to follow Jesus. It's that saying again and again, God, I'm thirsty, and Jesus saying, I know what that is. I know what that looks like. Come on, let's fill that hole. So, where are you thirsty today? God, Jesus, he'll be that thirst quencher. Be careful in the snow. Goodbye.